Hello, welcome to Newscast. Today, let's discuss a topic called emergency because yesterday there has been a protest in the Lok Sabha over the resolution of 1975 emergency period. Let's try to understand what exactly is an emergency, how is it imposed, and what are its effects. The state of emergency actually refers to a period of governance that can be proclaimed by President of India under certain crisis situations. Under the advice of the cabinet ministers, the president can also overrule many provisions of the constitution which guarantees fundamental rights. These provisions are in the part 18 of the Constitution of India from article 352 to 360. These provisions enable the central government to meet any abnormal situation of emergency effect into any abnormal situations effectively. So there are three types of emergencies, that is national emergency, constitutional emergency, and financial emergency. The national emergency is imposed when there is a state of war, when there is an external aggression, and when there is an internal armed rebellion. The provisions of national emergency are in the Article 352, and for the national emergency to be imposed, it must be approved by both the houses within a month of being issued with a special majority. The special majority is nothing but more than 15% of the total membership of the house and two-thirds of the membership of the house present and voted. This national emergency continues for the period of 6 months, but it can be extended indefinitely, but by taking the approval of both the houses every 6 months. The effects of the national emergency are the center becomes entitled to give executive directives to any state on any matter. The parliament becomes empowered to make any law on the state list, and the president can also issue ordinances on any state subjects, and also even if parliament is not in session. These laws become inoperative for 6 months of the cease of emergency period. The president can also modify the constitutional distribution of the revenues between the central and state. During this time, the life of Lok Sabha, which is a fixed term, can also be extended by year at a time, but with the permission of both the houses. But it cannot be extended until 6 months after the cease of the emergency period. During this time, the fundamental rights are suspended under Article 19 and under grounds of external war and aggression, but not in the case of internal armed rebellion. Even the president can suspend by order the right to move to court on suspension of fundamental rights, but according to 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, the president cannot suspend the right to move to court for the enforcement of fundamental rights under Article 21 and 20. Next comes the constitutional emergency. The constitutional emergency can be imposed on the states on the two grounds. That is, when a state cannot carry out its functions according to the constitutional provisions. Even it can be also imposed when the state does not comply with the direction of the center. The present provisions of the constitutional emergency are in Article 356. This constitutional emergency actually it is called president rule. It comes into effect when it is approved by both the houses with a majority. This gives extraordinary powers to president and takes up the functions of state government or governor or any other executive in the state. The president can make laws under the state list which are not contaminated with the duration, because this can be repealed or altered after the president rule is ended. According to 44th Amendment Act, even these provisions are not beyond the judicial review. The president rule continues for a period of 6 months and it can be extended for a maximum of 3 years with the approval of parliament for every 6 months. But according to the 66th, 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, the constitutional emergency cannot be imposed in any state for, beyond 1 year unless the proclamation of national emergency is in operation or whether the election commission states that the continuance of president rule is necessary to hold assembly elections. Next comes the financial emergency. The financial emergency is imposed when there is a threat to the financial stability or to the credit of India or to any state in India or in any territory. This financial emergency also should be approved by the both the houses with a majority. But here, this financial emergency can be extended indefinitely once it is approved until it is revoked. During this financial emergency, the financial authority of state is controlled by the center, and if any money bills or financial bills are passed by the state assembly, these bills are reserved for the reserved for the constitution of the president. And even it can reduce the salaries and allowances of all any class serving the state and center, and even the judges of Supreme Court and High Court. Uh, there has been many criticisms on these emergencies. The first one is the federal character is destroyed and the union will become more powerful. The president will become a dictator. The financial state will be nullified and the fundamental rights will be meaningless, and the democratic foundation of the constitution will be destroyed. Even Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that I altogether do not deny that there is a possibility of articles being abused or employed for political purposes. So this means the emergency and its provisions are required for a country, but how it is used depends upon the party at the center, since every coin has two sides. Until now, there has been 3 times emergency has declared in our country since independence. The first one is in 1962 on account of Chinese aggression, and the next one is in 1971 in the wake of attack of Pakistan. While the second emergency was in place, the third emergency was imposed in June 1975. Both these emergencies were seized in 1977, which is called dark period of our history. I'm going to do a separate video on 1975 emergency to go into the deep detail and why it was imposed and what are its effects. So stay tuned. Thank you. Have a happy day.